this is lesson 4 of food preparation and nutrition practical cooking lessons at home, and today we're going to be making a simple 3-ingredient biscuit. Now, as ever, hair tied back, apron on, sleeves rolled up, hands washed with hot soapy water and your surfaces cleaned down before you start. So 3 simple ingredients. In my bowl I've got 100 grams of block butter, so this is the hard butter that you would find. You want to keep it out and get it to room temperature so it's nice and soft before you start. And actually when I put it into here I spent about 5 minutes just stirring it around, just softening it. We're then going to have 50 grams of caster sugar and 150 grams of self-raising flour. So 50 sugar, 100 butter, 150 of the self-raising flour. You'll also need a glass with some cold water and a fork just to pattern the top of your biscuits, and you're going to need a baking tray. Now this baking tray's it's got a nice non-stick surface. If you haven't got a baking tray with that non-stick, you've got 2 options. Firstly, you could use some baking parchment just to line your tray first, or secondly, you could lightly dust your tray with some flour. I'd strongly advise you not to grease your tray with butter or oil, because what will happen is when it goes into the oven, the butter will heat up and it will start to smoke, and you'll get black smoke coming out of your oven, and also it will have a funny taste with your biscuits. So non-stick, baking parchment or greaseproof paper, or lightly dust. Okay, so as I said, I've already spent a few minutes actually softening my butter with the back of my spoon. So that's just speeded my job up a little bit here today. I'm then going to add in my caster sugar. And the next thing to do is use the back of your spoon and actually start to squash the sugar and butter together. This is a good way to start to get it combined. Once you've done that, you just want to spend a couple of minutes stirring it round. It's known as the creaming method of cake making, and you want your butter to change. It should go slightly lighter in colour and it should have a creamy consistency. So spend 2 or 3 minutes doing that. Once you've done that, you're then going to add your self-raising flour into the bowl and actually get your hands in at that point and start to mix it together. If you do that for a couple of minutes, you will end up with a doughy consistency like this, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to make this into my biscuits. So I'm going to start off rolling it out, okay? I'm going to just break off what is described as a walnut size section of dough. I'm going to roll it together so that it's nice and round, and then flatten it down and pop that onto my baking tray. I'm going to do that over and over again with my dough until I've made all of my biscuits, okay? And then once I've done that, I will take my fork and I will dip it into my cold water, and then I will just use the back of my fork to make a crisscross pattern onto the top of the biscuits. And you just need to do this over and over again with all the biscuits that you've done. Okay, so as you can see, I've rolled out all of the dough, okay, and evenly rolled it, and then used the back of my fork to make the crisscross pattern on the top. They're evenly spread because the biscuits will change shape a little bit in the oven. They will actually spread a little bit out, so if they were too close together they would run into each other, okay. So oven gloves on, and they're going into the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. Now my advice to you would be to check on them after 10, but then you might need to go as far as the 15 minutes. You want them to be golden brown, you don't want them to be burnt. Okay, so the timer's just gone off this batch of biscuits, so I'm going to get them out of the oven. Pop them onto heat-proof tray, and I'm quite happy with these, nice golden brown colour. So I've made 2 batches of biscuits today, and this batch have come out the oven about 10 minutes ago. I'm just going to show you a couple of decorating methods. You don't have to decorate them if you don't want to, but a couple of things that you could do. So you could have some icing sugar. What you could do this is quite useful, it's ready to shake, but you could use a sieve if you're just going to shake them over. So you could just actually shake some icing sugar over the top of these if you wanted to. And the other thing I was going to do, I'll do all the front ones just to show you, not too much, okay, she says. Okay, so if I just show you one of these, it's just got a light dusting. The other thing that you could do is actually dip them in some chocolate. So what I've got here is a medium-sized bar of dark chocolate. Now, dark chocolate melts in the microwave much more easily than milk chocolate does. If you're using milk chocolate, please watch it very carefully because the fat contents are different, and you can sometimes find that it melts quickly and then it kind of balls back up and you can't melt it again. So this is some dark chocolate that I've melted. I broke the bar of chocolate up into small pieces, and then I've just melted it for 60 seconds in a microwave at 800 watts. You can use a bain-marie, that's a little bit more tricky. If you're going to do that, please send me a message and I can talk you through how to do that. And then what I'm just going to do with these biscuits, I'm not going to cover all of them, just going to dip half of them in. So I'm just going to pick my biscuits up, turn my chocolate bowl to one side, let any excess bits of chocolate drip off, and then I'm just going to pop them over here to dry. And so I'll do that. I'll probably have half of my batch of biscuits dipped in chocolate, half with the icing sugar. Like I said, you don't have to do either because they taste nice with that. Hope you enjoy that. Thanks very much.